everyone. We are going to wait just a few seconds for everybody to enter the webinar, and we'll get started soon. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our UC Berkeley virtual visit for today. My name is Celine. I use pronouns she, her, hers, and I am a senior at UC Berkeley. I'm studying sociology and cognitive science. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. I know that no matter where you are in the world, you're facing your own different challenges, and we just want to thank you so much for taking this hour and spending it with us today. So just before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. Awesome. Okay, so our virtual visit is going to start off with a 45-minute presentation from two wonderful guides of ours. We have a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. You are welcome to use that to ask any questions that you may have, and we have back-end folks who are ready to answer your questions for you. Polls will also be popping up throughout this presentation. Please answer those so that we can see who's here today and where you guys are coming from. And if you miss any part of this presentation for any reason, no worries. You can go ahead and access a different recorded version on our website. And this presentation is going to be fully a campus overview in the student perspective, which means that there is no admissions or financial aid information. If you have questions about that, we will gladly direct you to those offices. And if you want to sign up for a separate admissions presentation, you can do so at admissions.berkeley.edu. And finally, we will be ending with a Q&A where our guides will do our best to answer all questions that you have that you submitted through the Q&A function below. So thank you again today, and I will go ahead and hand it off to Carson and Justine.
Hi guys, my name is Carson, and I'm so excited to be walking you guys through our virtual visit today. I use the she, her, hers pronouns, and I am originally from San Diego, California, but right now I'm coming to you from my apartment in Berkeley. I am a sophomore studying nutritional sciences, and besides being a campus ambassador, one thing I'm involved in on campus is I'm on the Cal Women's Club water polo team. If you have any questions about any of that stuff, you can drop it in the Q&A below.
Hi everyone, my name's Justine. I use the she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm originally from Long Beach, California, but I am currently in Berkeley as well, and I'm a sophomore. My majors are integrative biology and psychology. I'm actually really excited because I will be declaring psychology tomorrow. And my involvement includes Berkeley Hillel. I am a Schultz Engagement Fellow at Hillel, or I have a fellowship there, and that's really cool. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask them. I'm also in the Pre-Vet Club, and I'm involved in Greek life, and I am also a barista at Yelly's Cafe. We just want to welcome you to UC Berkeley. Oh, just kidding. We want to welcome you to UC Berkeley, and there's also a poll popping up right now that's asking you who you are. We just want to know a little bit more about you. And so this is a little overview of Berkeley. We are celebrating 150 years of women at Berkeley, which is super exciting. And yeah, we've only been having 2 years before that where there were only men. So that's very exciting for our school. There's also a few things about where you can see the Campanile, our clock and bell tower. It's beautiful. It's 307 feet tall, and there's 61 bells in it. So lots of bells, and it chimes every hour. So since I'm in Berkeley, I can hear it all the time. And yeah, we recently also celebrated 150 years of Berkeley, which definitely makes sense. All right. All right, our agenda for today, we are going to talk about the overview of Berkeley, and that includes academics, housing and dining, health and safety, and then we'll transition into student resources and student life, and that's just really important in general. We also are going to talk about athletics and just libraries and research And then we're going to talk about remote learning because, you know, we're currently in that remote learning period. So we want to make sure that we address that.
All right, so we're going to start off with kind of an overview of Berkeley and start that with the history. So we were founded in 1868, and we were the first campus of the UC system, which lets us go by multiple different names. So you might hear us referred to as UC Berkeley, Cal, the University of California, things like that. That's all us because we were the first campus in the UC system. So all the other UC schools have to specify like UC San Diego, UCLA, things like that. Our mascot is the Golden Bears. So, and Oski is our mascot that kind of runs around at football games. You'll see him walking around campus, and there's some pictures of him in later slides. He's really adorable. We all love him. Our campus size, we have just over 31,000 undergraduates and then just under 12,000 graduate students. And we have multiple historical landmarks on campus. And in the pictures here, you can see some of the most kind of iconic things on campus. So like in the top left-hand corner, you can see South Hall. That's our oldest building on campus. It's actually now home to our newest graduate school, which I think is kind of fun. It's the oldest building in the newest school. You can see some drone footage of our Campanile that Justine talked about. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see Sproul Plaza, and in the right-hand corner, you can see Sather Gate, which is another really iconic landmark on campus.
And we just want to like dive into a little overview of our campus. Carson already covered like the landmarks. I'll talk a little bit about Sather Gate. It's our beautiful gate that actually like in Monsters University, they modeled their gate after ours, which I think is a really fun fact. And it just makes me feel really proud to be a Berkeley student. And then we have Sturdy the bear. Sturdy is our biggest bear statue on campus. There are a ton of bear statues all over campus. I'm still constantly like finding them. I saw the smallest one, which is on South Hall the other day, and that was really cool because I hadn't found that one before. And then there is the seal that we have on the ground in the upper right-hand corner. And that seal was actually designed by Tiffany and Co. And one thing that students have is like a superstition about this seal. We always avoid stepping on it because there's a superstition that you might fail your classes or fail your finals or not get a 4.0 if you step on the seal. It like kind of varies, like the superstition. But yeah, you'll always see students just like parting ways when they like walk by the seal because no one wants to step on it and, you know, not get that 4.0 or not do well in their classes. And then in the lower right-hand corner, we have Oski, our mascot, which Carson already mentioned. This is like a perfect representation of Oski. He's just fun and silly. He walks around campus a lot, and he just always makes me excited when I see him because, you know, he's just a silly guy.
I love seeing Oski around campus. It's like, it brightens up my entire day. And then next we're going to talk about campus culture. So the first thing is change makers. So you hear the word change makers kind of a lot around Berkeley, and that's for a few different reasons. So the first is free speech. So the free speech movement is a really important kind of historical event that happened on campus in the 1960s. So previously, students across kind of the nation on college campuses weren't allowed to speak their political views and beliefs on their campus. And Berkeley students didn't think that was right. So the free speech movement began of students fighting for the right to have free speech on their campuses. And there's a picture of that in the top right-hand corner. And kind of one of the most iconic moments from that is Mario Savio, is kind of one of the leaders of the movement, stood on Sproul Plaza on top of a police car and gave a speech, which is one of the pivotal moments of the movement. And due to that, free speech is still like highly utilized on campus. So you'll see students, you know, talking about their beliefs and their values on campus today. There's also a lot of leadership. So there's a lot of leadership positions available on campus, leadership development, things like that. We really focus on challenging the status quo. Lots of entrepreneurship on campus as well. I mean, like the apartment that I'm in, the student that lived here previously, like started his own internet company. So there's lots of entrepreneurship just from students on campus, and research and innovation. We are a research institution, so there's lots of research going on as well. And we also focus on community. So we really focus on compassion, passion, and social justice. one of my favorite things about Berkeley is the passion that students have. Like every single person I've met is passionate about their school, their extracurriculars, their research, social justice, something. The passion is like, you can like hold it almost, like it's just so present everywhere. We're also really focused on spirit and pride. So school spirit is a huge part of campus as well. You can walk around campus, or if you see like alumni like anywhere across the globe, you can yell "Go Bears" to them, and more oftentimes than not, you'll get a "Go Bears" back. And you can see our rally committee in the bottom right-hand corner there. So that's a great picture of our rally committee. They're kind of in charge of the school spirit at athletic events and things like that. We also pride ourselves on diversity and excellence. This incoming freshman class is actually like the most diverse class we've had in, I think, like 30 years or so, which is really exciting. And public service is also very important to us as well.
And I just want to give like more of an overview of some of the stuff that Carson talked about. Like nowadays we still show that we like have voices on campus, and one way that we do that is you can actually schedule protest on the steps of Sproul Hall, and so that picture in the upper left-hand corner kind of like resembles that. And in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a picture of our Cal band and the cheer team, you know, doing a rally, which is always really exciting. They do them before every football game, and I always love hearing the music. It makes me feel like a sense of pride. And I think every Berkeley student feels the same way about like, you know, school pride. We all have it. We all love, you know, being Golden Bears. And then there's a robotics research picture. I can't really say much on that because I am not a person involved in research yet, hoping to be though. But yeah, we are a research institution, and I know so many people who are involved and trying to be involved actively in more research. And then we have the rally committee, which Carson really touched on. And I know so many people in this group of students, and they're all like very spirited, and they just make me excited to be like, you know, at football games and just like being a student at Berkeley. And then lastly, we recently celebrated 100 years of the Campanile, our clock and bell tower that I mentioned earlier. And here's a picture of two dancers, you know, dancing off of it in celebration of that, which is just really beautiful and awesome, awesome picture.
And next, we're going to talk about kind of what's going on now on campus and us trying to, about our global impact. So there's kind of three things we're focusing on right now mainly. So one is education. So we're trying to provide more access and scalability for good education during all the challenging things going on right now. That includes a lot of student tech programs and a lot of remote youth programs. We're also doing COVID research. So a lot of the research labs have been converted. So they're doing trial testing and then researching the biological, cultural, and economic impacts. And we also have a lot of things going on for advocacy and social justice. So really fighting for human rights, anti-racism, and providing resources for people with like trauma, and fighting for resilience and burnout as well.
And now we're going to talk about our academics and just undergraduate colleges. So we're going to dive deeper into these in a little bit. And also there should be a poll popping up asking you what you're interested in. We want to know a little bit more about that, just so we can gauge, you know, everyone's interests. And so there are 5 undergraduate colleges at Berkeley. There's the College of Letters and Science. That's our biggest college. The College of Rouser College of Natural Resources, College of Environmental Design, the College of Chemistry, and the College of Engineering. And one thing to note is that if you want to transfer between colleges, it is much easier to transfer between the College of Letters and Science, the College of Natural Resources, and the College of Environmental Design. So that's just something to note. And when you want to transfer into the College of Engineering and the College of Chemistry, I'd highly advise you to just apply directly to those, just because it is harder to transfer between them, but it's definitely doable if you really, really would like to do that and explore your options a bit more. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to touch on. And now I'll talk about the College of Letters and Science. This is my college, so I have a lot of pride when it comes to LNS. It makes up 3/4 of the undergraduate population, and that is a lot of people, and there are 5 divisions. This includes arts and humanities, biological sciences, mathematical and physical sciences, social sciences, and undergraduate studies. And that's a lot already. And there's 80 plus majors that fit within these divisions. So that's just a lot of different opportunities and options for you. There's a few different like types of biology if you want to pick which type of biology you want to focus on, for example. So it's just nice to have like that variety of options, and you can kind of figure out which major you want to focus on by completing the 7 breadth requirements that are required when you are in LNS. So these breadth requirements have different fields of focus. There's philosophy and values, there's social sciences, or I think it might be historical. And there's just so many more. So if you are like one type of major, that doesn't mean you only have to take classes in that major. You can, discover other things in other majors and find classes that you are super duper passionate about, which is awesome. And I'm really excited to take more of my breadth courses this year. And I just want to note that 16 out of the 23 Nobel Prizes have been earned in this department specifically. So that's just kind of a little LNS pride for you. But let's move on.
Next, we're going to talk about the Rausser College of Natural Resources. So similar to how Justine loves the College of Learning Sciences, this is my favorite college. I'm biased because my major is in this college, but has an environmental focus programs. So things like biological sciences, nutrition and toxicology, that's mine. If you have questions about that, drop it in the Q&A for sure. Ecosystem management, interdisciplinary studies, social sciences, and economics and policy. And the college as a whole really focuses on sustainability and social justice. So kind of as the goal of students seeing the bigger picture, make a better world. So that's kind of one of the main quotes for the college. And one of, in the picture here in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see Li Ka-shing, which is one of the lecture halls in the college. And right off that picture is actually one of my favorite on-campus cafes, which is just like, so I really like hanging out there. The food's really good. It's on the north side of campus. It's really peaceful. So that's my college. I love it with my entire heart. But we're going to keep moving on to the next college. So this is the College of Environmental Design. It is our smallest college, so only has about 650 students and has 4 majors. So architecture, landscape architecture, urban studies, and sustainable environmental design. So in the pictures here, you can see Worcester Hall, which is kind of the home of the College of Environmental Design. And really cool thing is like all the students in there have their own workspace to work on their projects, which I think is just cool to have like a space in like the main building for your college to just work on your stuff, which I think is a really cool perk of like it being one of the smallest college. And they also have CED ambassadors, so College of Environmental Design ambassadors. So they have their own team that they do walking tours of Worcester Hall. They have information sessions and things like that. So if you have any questions about that, you can drop in the Q&A and we can totally direct you so you can get a lot of really good information from students of the College of Environmental Design.
And now I'll talk about the College of Chemistry. This college has about 1,000 students, so it's pretty small. And there are 3 different majors. There's chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. I've actually taken a lot of classes in the College of Chemistry because I am a biology major. So it's been really cool to kind of like get a little taste of that department. And the College of Chemistry has done a lot of innovation and research. We are actually ranked #1 globally. So it's very cool to have this be a part of my education. And there were 16 elements discovered at Berkeley, and this includes berkelium and californium. So that's kind of fun because it's named after our school. And also the Lewis dot structure was actually invented at Berkeley by Lewis himself, and there's actually a Lewis Hall now named after him. And I use this structure all the time in my Gen Chem classes, so I'm sure a lot of people in high school also use that. And it's just really cool that, something that was invented here is like used in such a strong way and such a, like way across like the United States and just like the world in general. And then I'll move into the College of Engineering. There are about 3,800 students in this college and 11 majors. Definitely try to apply directly. If you really want to switch in, there is an ability to switch in. It's just very complicated. So if you have the opportunity to apply directly, definitely do that. There's also humanities and social sciences breadth classes in this college. So you are not just taking like pure science classes the entire time. You are getting still, you know, like a variety of education, and you get to learn a lot about different things. So yeah, you're getting to focus on different things, and that's nice. And then there's also the technical courses, which are more part of the major itself. And I just want to plug that we do a separate engineering virtual visit. So if you are interested in engineering, I would highly advise you to go watch our virtual visits on that, because you can ask all your questions about engineering through that method, and you'll really get like a detailed tour on everything about engineering.
So those were our undergraduate colleges. So next we're going to talk really briefly about our graduate schools. So we have 9 graduate schools. First is the Haas School of Business, which you can see that picture kind of on the middle of your screen to the left side of the pictures. And really cool thing about the Haas School of Business is that they have an undergraduate program. So they have a business administration major for undergraduates. So the way that would work, if you're interested, is you would apply to one of the undergraduate colleges. Most people will apply to letters and science, do the prerequisite classes, and then your beginning of your sophomore year, you would apply to the Haas School of Business. And then by the end of your sophomore year, you find out if you got in or if you didn't. It is competitive, but definitely possible. So if you're interested, definitely try and do it. So if you get in, you're now in the Haas School of Business, and you'll graduate with an undergraduate degree from there. If you don't, it's really not a huge deal. You'll still be in the College of Letters and Science or whatever college you originally came into, and you'll graduate with a degree from there. So some students will like major in economics from letters and science, things like that. They also have the global management program, which is a really cool program where your first semester you actually study in London. So you can start your college experience with study abroad. And then they also have biology and business and an MET program, which is kind of a combination of engineering and business. So you can get a dual degree from Haas and the College of Engineering. So if you have any questions about any of those programs, you can drop them in the Q&A. And we also have the School of Education, the School of Information, Berkeley Law, the School of Social Welfare, the School of Optometry, School of Journalism, School of Public Policy, and Public Health. And some undergraduate departments also offer graduate programs as well. And then next, we're going to talk about structure and class sizes. So we do have almost 32,000 undergraduate students. So we also have some large lectures, which I know can seem kind of intimidating and scary, but don't worry too much. It's really not, it's not as scary as you think it is. And most of those classes are like you take in your first year to at Cal, for those large prerequisite classes that a lot of students have to take for their majors. And the way those work is you'll have those kind of large lectures taught by your professor, and then you'll also have discussion sections. So it's at a separate time. There's about 30 to 40 students, and those are taught by graduate student instructors or GSIs. And what you'll do in those is like go over lecture, turn in homework, do quizzes, debates, projects, things like that. It kind of depends on the class. And your GSIs also hold office hours. So you can ask questions in lecture, you can ask questions in your discussion section, you can go to your professor's office hours or your GSI's office hours. So there's lots of opportunities to go and get your questions answered that you have. And like I said, it's not all of our classes are these really large classes. Our student to faculty ratio is actually 18:1, and 85% of classes are fewer than 50 students. So as your years at Cal go on, your classes should shrink down a little bit. And then there's also a lot of hands-on labs and studios. So you're not just going to be sitting in a lecture hall like all day, every day. That's not it at all. There's a lot of hands-on experience as well. And we have resources to help with that as well. So we have the Student Learning Center, or the SLC, some you might hear it called, and it has free tutoring for students. So you can do math homework, physics homework. They'll do midterm and final review sessions. You can take in your essays and they'll edit your essays for you for class. And then they also have individual advising as well for students. So there's lots of resources to make those classes manageable.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that the SLC, or Student Learning Center, is awesome, and they really helped me out when I was taking general chemistry. So I highly advise you to take advantage of that if you are a student here already. Yeah, and now I'm going to talk about the fall 2020 semester, because this is our reality right now. So basically, we are doing remote learning. We are starting and ending with remote learning. Basically, that means everything's online through Zoom and through B courses. We do have some hybridization goals in line with the CDC guidelines. So hopefully we'll still be able to do a little bit of a hybrid semester. And we're using Zoom, which has been pretty good lately. Like, I think professors are getting a lot more used to it, which is nice. And there's also asynchronous and synchronous learning. Synchronous learning means just that the lecture is live and you can watch it through Zoom, like live and in that moment. And asynchronous learning means that the professor is just uploading the lecture online. Both have its positives. I like synchronous learning just because it keeps me on top of my lectures, but also asynchronous learning is nice because I do have some 8 a.m.s that are asynchronous, and it's nice to, sleep in and watch those later. We also have virtual drop-in tutoring from the SLC. So it's still happening. We're still having those resources. It has just moved into an online format, which is really nice. And in terms of instructional resilience, we have started this new program called Semester in the Cloud. One of my classes has that. It just means that it's more adapted to the online format. And so hopefully some more classes as the semester goes on will transition into Semester in the Cloud, just to make things a little bit easier.
All right, and next we're going to talk about housing. And a poll should be popping up as well, asking where you guys are from. So please fill that out so we can get an even better understanding of who we're talking to. So first we're gonna talk about typical first-year housing options. So normally, freshmen would come to campus. Almost all freshmen typically will live on campus, not all, but most all, in one of the dorms. So we have units 1, 2, and 3, and those are our typical dorm-style buildings. So high-rise buildings, people on your floor, typically like doubles and triples. And then we have Clark Kerr, which is actually like a 10-minute walk off campus and kind of known as like the country club of the dorms, because they have like their own pool, they have a track, like I think sand, like beach volleyball courts, and then their own dining hall as well. And then they have kind of dorm style living, suites, and apartments. There's also Blackwell Hall, which is another typical dorm style, but it's our newest dorm. So I think this is like the 3rd year it's been in use. So it's kind of referred to as like a 5-star hotel. So it's really nice and new and pretty. And then we also have Stern and Foothill on the north side. So Stern is our dorm for female identifying students. So if you want to live in a dorm with people who identify the same as you can look into Stern. And then Foothill is right next to it, and it's all suite style living. So I actually lived in Foothill my freshman year. I liked it a lot. It's like really lots of nature and deer and turkeys. So I liked it a lot. And then next we're gonna, so for typical housing details, we're gonna continue with that. Freshmen get priority. So when you apply again to Cal, you have a housing application and it has 5 options on it for preferences. So you'd put in where you want to live and kind of the room size. So you could put like unit 2, double, Clark Kerr, triple, things like that. But for your last spot, you want to make sure you put any room, any location to make sure you get that priority. And then when you're living on campus, there's also a lot of resources. You're moving to a new place, you might not know people. So there's a lot of resources for students. One is the residential assistants, or RAs. So they're continuing students that live in the dorms with you, and they're kind of like an older sibling. They're there to help you, kind of show you around. They'll host events. If you have anything like you need help with, or need to talk to somebody, or anything you really need, you can go to them. And they're really cool people too. I know I came in and I was like, oh, I feel like my RA is gonna be kind of scary, but like me and my RA were friends within like 2 days. So the residential assistants are great. There's also theme programs. So we have a Women in STEM theme program, a Pacific Islander theme program, African American theme program, a bunch of different theme programs so you can live with people that have similar interests or identities as you. And then there's also common areas as well. So in the suites, There's usually a couple rooms connected with like a bathroom and a common area. And then in the dorms for your floor, there'd be a common area as well. And when you live on campus, there is a meal plan included with the cost of housing. So for that, you get meal swipes and flex dollars. So meal swipes, you can use at any of the dining halls. There's one between units 1 and 2, next to units 3 and Blackwell, between Foothill and Stern, and then there's one in Clark Kerr. And you can go to any of the dining halls. It's just they're placed there kind of for convenience for students. And then there's also flex dollars that you can use in the little markets next to the dining hall and some of our on-campus restaurants as well. Now we're going to talk about housing during COVID-19. So as you can guess, nothing right now is really typical. So we'll go into the details of a lot of the freshmen coming in right now. So right now, housing is based on priority, based on self-selected need. So all of the rooms are single occupancy, and students are required to use face coverings. They have free testing, and then they also sequestered for their first week here, and they get to-go meals from the dining hall. And those resources are all still there. So there's still residential assistance, and then students have social pods and can chat with students and still socialize and meet people. And then they still have those single rooms. And then there's isolation housing for anyone that did come and did test positive for COVID-19. I think it was like 3 students of over 1,000 that came. They are quarantining in isolation housing as well. And if you have any questions about any of this, please drop questions in the Q&A. We have a lot of ambassadors eager to answer them. And then next, we're going to talk about transfer and continuing student housing. So a lot of students, a lot of freshmen live in the dorms, and then most of them will move out of the dorms for future years. But so there's a lot of options. So one, you can continue to live on campus housing if you wish. Freshmen do get priority, so it's not guaranteed for continuing students, but it's definitely still an option. So if you're interested in that, you can totally do that. Then off campus, there's lots of options as well. So you can live in international house. You can live in affiliated properties like Garden Village, Enclave. So those are off-campus apartments that are still affiliated with the university. You can stay in an off-campus apartment. That's what I'm doing. So I live in an off-campus apartment. It's not affiliated with the school at all, but I really love it. I'm a little biased though. There's also co-op housing. So co-op housing, you live with a bunch of people and rent is usually a little bit lower because you have jobs that kind of go toward your rent. So maybe it's cleaning, maybe it's doing garden work, cooking a meal once a week, things like that. So the rent is a little bit lower. And there's also Greek housing. So if you're interested in Greek life, you can join a sorority or fraternity and live in the house your continuing years as well. So if you have any questions about that, also drop that in the chat. I know we have ambassadors that are involved in Greek life that would love to talk about it and answer your questions there. And if you live off campus and you're like, I'm not a really great cook, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cook for myself all the time, every day, don't sweat. You can purchase an additional meal plan so you can still go to the dining halls and the on-campus restaurants and not have to cook for yourself all the time.
All right, that was a mouthful. So good job, Carson. I'm going to talk about health and safety now. We have a lot of resources in terms of health, and that includes urgent care, primary care, and physical therapy. And this is all at the Tang Center, our main health center on campus. And you are required to have insurance to be a student at Berkeley. And so if you don't have insurance, you can purchase the student health insurance program. I know that a lot of students do utilize this resource. Either way, if you need urgent care or primary care, you can definitely still schedule an appointment at the Tang Center and they will see you and they will help you out with whatever you need. I got the flu a while back and I went to the Tang Center and they were very helpful and you know, gave me like the prescriptions and diagnosis that I needed to get better. And also now they're doing COVID testing and tracing. I participated in a study over the summer in which I took my temperature every day and I also, you know, got COVID tested I think around 3 times at the Tang Center, and it was really great, you know, like knowing that I didn't have coronavirus and knowing that like there was a resource for me in case I did start to feel sick in any way. And there's also like now there's webinars and tips that they're still doing. So if you do have questions for the Tang Center and just for UHS in general, you can definitely go to their webinars and they will definitely help you. They also have like psychological counseling, and there's the optometry eye center, which is really cool. I know that you can schedule an appointment there, and there's like graduate students learning how to, be optometrists, and it's just really cool that they get to learn in that way. And then there's the Path to Care. This helps survivors of sexual assault, sexual harassment, anything in that area. And it's just a really great resource that I have a few friends who actually work for Path to Care. And then there's stress relief, because, being at a university, it's going to be stressful. You're going to get stressed out sometimes. There's de-stress with dogs, which I really love. I remember right before finals week, my fall semester, the De-Stress with Dogs Club brought their dogs over to my dorm, which was also Foothill, I forgot to mention. And we got to play with the dogs, and it was really nice. And then there's also Llama-Palooza, which also happens during finals week, where they just bring a bunch of llamas out onto Memorial Glade, our like nice grassy area on campus. And so there's a picture of a girl taking a selfie with a llama, which always makes me laugh. Yeah, let's talk about safety now. So we have a lot of safety like guidelines and just like resources for people. We have the UC Police Department, blue light poles, which you can see anywhere pretty much on campus, and just by the push of a button, it will call emergency services. And then there's Warn Me, a system that sends out text messages and emails to people, just warning about different situations. It doesn't have to be like a dangerous situation. It could easily just be like, oh, like there's the AQI is very high today, so stay inside, stuff like that. And Warn Me is just nice in general because it can like release information to students very quickly, all at once. And then there's the residence hall 3-point security. Residence halls have like kiosks where people have to check in. And in Foothill, I know that there's like gates with a lot of like usage of your keys. So it definitely feels very safe in the residence halls, I would say. And in addition to that, we have night services. I used the night safety shuttle a lot my freshman year, just because I did live in Foothill, which is on the north side of campus. And the night safety shuttle is really nice because all you need is yourself. And if you want to like figure out where the stops are, you just use, you can use like Apple Maps, but you can also use the app that tracks where the night safety shuttle is. And there are a ton of stops on and off campus. So you can definitely get where you need to go. And that's just really great. There's also Bear Walk, where students are trained to walk you to and from places within a 1 mile radius of campus. And it's just really nice because I've heard that you can actually like make a friend by doing Bear Walk. So some great night services that I have taken advantage of myself.
Yeah, just to like reiterate the safety services, I think they're really great. I've never been in like an emergency situation where I needed to use like the blue light poles or anything, but it's really nice to know they're there. And I also use the night safety shuttle because I lived in Foothill, and my club team practiced on South Side, so the opposite side of campus, and then I'd leave at like 10 p.m. So sometimes I would take the night safety shuttle back to my dorm, which was really nice. And next, we're going to talk about student resources. So on campus, we have like no shortage of student resources for students, focusing on identity and community. So there's Centers for Educational Justice and Community Engagement. We have the Associated Students of the University of California, which is kind of like our student government. We have the Transfer Student Center, the Undocumented Student Center, just lots and lots of resources to make everyone feel like they belong to the community and provide any support that they need. And we also have the Disabled Students Program, the Basic Needs Center, which is really great. So you can actually go and like the Basic Needs Center, you can go in and get free food if you need food, and it's really there for students, and they don't ask anything of you. You can just go in and get some food, like no questions. So that's a really cool opportunity. And there's many, many more resources available for students that we could talk about, but then you'd be here for like 3 hours. So but we're just gonna give you a quick little run through of those.
And now I'll talk about student life. Student life is very important at Berkeley. It's important everywhere, but we, value it a lot. There are 1,000+ registered student organizations, so you can find anything, like literally anything that you're passionate about, there will probably be a student organization for that, which is really great. There's also volunteering and campus employment. I am an employee of campus, and so is Carson. We work as campus ambassadors. There's also a lot of different other places that you can work, but I personally think this is the best job. And then there's the Career Center for where you want to find work outside of Berkeley or just like work after college. My sister graduated from Berkeley 2 years ago, and she still was able to use the Career Center like a few months ago, and it was really nice because she has now found a job in SF. And internships, that is something that students are able to land by like from going to Berkeley. There's internships in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, and I've just heard of these amazing things that people have been able to get internships for, like Google. My roommate had an internship with Cliff Bar, which was really cool. Yeah, I'm excited to apply for some internships for sure. And then there's study abroad. Study abroad is really cool because you get to, you know, obviously get an education somewhere where you don't live. And I really want to study abroad in Italy. And I know that they've actually like made study abroad virtual for right now, which is really nice. So you can still get some of those cultural experiences that you were looking for online, which is awesome. And then there's Bay Area exploration, which I feel like speaks for itself. You get to explore the Bay Area. I love going to San Francisco, but I've also like been able to explore cities around Berkeley, which I wasn't very familiar with before.
All right, and next we're going to talk about some remote resources that we have. So since we're all kind of staying, you know, in our homes or apartments or wherever we are, it's a little bit harder to go out and just like meet people on the streets. So there's a lot of resources to still promote that kind of community feel on campus. So one of the things is social media networks. So we have lots of social media networks through like, there's Facebook groups, like ranging from all kinds of things for like housing to just like meme groups, social media networks for the schools in general, different clubs, so all kinds of media networks. There's also student groups and clubs that are adapting to be remote, so they're holding social hours and online adaptations. So I know for my club, we're still trying to hold socials with like movie nights and game nights and just kind of talking and catching up, and then doing like online workouts and things since we can't all go to the pool together. And there's also departments are having webinars, so they have professional and personal development opportunities and lots of really awesome guest lectures that you can listen to that previously maybe like the spots would fill up really quick, and now they can go out to more and more people. So really actually good opportunities that might not have been available previously. And then there's also Golden Bear orientation. So that is typically you'd meet in person, and then for freshmen this year, it's actually all been virtual as well. And they have advising, preparation, and networking. So they have their groups and they go online. I know they actually like built Minecraft version of campus, some students over the summer for their graduation. And I know GBO this year actually used that to like give a tour to campus virtually, which I think is really cool.
And now I'll dive into athletics, but I have checked out the Minecraft or Blockly or whatever it's called, and it's really cool. So if you have time, I'd highly recommend looking into that. But going back to athletics, there are many different levels of competition. There's Division I. Our football team is Division I. I believe our basketball team is also Division I. It just means it's like the most professional level. And it's really cool because our Cal Bears are part of the Pac-12 or Pacific 12 Conference. And then there's also club sports. I know a lot of people are involved in club water polo, and there's just like a variety of club sports that you can be involved in. I can't name a lot because I'm not very sporty, but like there's so many. I've seen like people with those backpacks that say they're club sports all the time, and I'm like, wow, this is super cool. And then there's intramural recreational sports. I myself am not very athletically inclined, so if I were to go into sports, I would definitely go into intramural sports. It's kind of like that lowest level, and it's just for fun a lot of the times. So that's pretty cool. I know that there's a lot of Greek houses who participate in intramural sports, and it's just a really fun way to bond with other people and, you know, still get that physical activity. The California Memorial Stadium is where our Golden Bears play. There's like the Simpson High Performance Center, which is a part of that. And then the Athletic Study Center where athletes at our school can actually like find resources and can study there. I know that it's helped a lot of students out in terms of getting tutoring and just, having a place to focus. There's also Hospital Inn where our basketball team plays in addition to a lot of other teams. And it's a really cool arena that I've only been to once. I would like to go again, but it's really awesome, and it's in the south side of campus. There's also the recreational sports facility, which is also in the south side of campus, and it's a really great way. It's like our biggest exercise center, and it's just a really great way to get that physical activity. I know that they do like cardio dance there, which is really fun, and also I've heard that there's a lot of exercise classes that are now online. Such as cardio dance. So you can still get that physical activity even though we are remote. Also a little flex, we have won over 207, not over 207, Olympic medals. And it's really cool because we just have amazing alumni and students who participate in the Olympics every year that they are held. And yeah, just a lot of Cal Pride just going all over the world now.
Yeah, definitely athletics is a huge part of campus. A cool thing too is like our swimming and diving head coach is the head swimming coach for the upcoming Olympics, which I think is super amazing too. And next we're going to talk about libraries and research. So we have 24 official campus libraries. So some of them you can see pictured kind of in those top photos there. And in those libraries, we have over 13 million volumes of books. So lots of reading material and things for research projects and things like that. And we also have extensive online resources as well. So especially right now, which is really good for virtual. I know I took summer classes and had a research project. So I was able to use the online resources since I couldn't go into the libraries. So lots of resources. Honestly, I think more than you could really ever go through in one sitting. Definitely lots of resources available. And next we're going to talk about research. So we are a research institution, as I know we've both mentioned a couple times, and students can definitely get involved in research on campus. One of the most common ways is the Undergraduate Research Apprentice Program, also known as URAP. So that's basically an online database of all of the research projects going on from professors and faculty. And so you can go on there, look at the research, find something you like, and just send a quick email to whoever's running the research project and say like, hi, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Can I please help in any way? And you'll get one of two answers back. They'll be like, yes, please help us, or like, we're okay right now. And if you get that, that's really okay. There's lots and lots of research available, so you can definitely get into another lab as well. And then there's also department-specific opportunities too. So I know like the Rausser College of Natural Resources has specific research opportunities for students, and all of the other colleges do as well. And another one that's not listed here, but I think is really cool that some students don't know about is literally just go up to your professor or your grad student after class. If you know what they're working on, and you just be like, I think what you're doing is really cool. And is there anything I can do to help? And I know some people that have done that and been able to gain research just from doing that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's a lot of cool department-specific opportunities. I know that the psychology department just sent out about a bunch of like research positions that are available. So yeah, just definitely a lot of research opportunities. Now I'm going to talk about campus highlights. So we are lucky enough to have a beautiful campus, and there's a lot of naturey areas, which is really cool because, it is in an urban area. There's the fire trails, which are up on the hill behind Berkeley, and it's just really beautiful because you get a view of Berkeley and of the Bay Area. And then there's Strawberry Creek, which is our like little creek that's running through the entirety of campus. You can like kind of see it anywhere you are on campus. There's also just like a lot of hills on campus, which are really cool because you can get good views from those. There's just a lot of trees and wildlife and just like beautiful flowers and stuff. It's just very nature oriented, which I love because, as I said before, we're in an urban area, and it's just nice to like see that beauty and see that nature while you're, you know, in such a busy area. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both Carson and Justine for that presentation. We are going to go ahead and answer some questions that we got from the audience. Awesome. So the first question that we have here is for Carson. What are the research opportunities at Berkeley like? Is it hard to find research internships or jobs on campus?
Yeah, that's a great question. So research on campus is, I know when I was coming to Berkeley, one thing that I heard a lot was like, oh, research is only for grad students or like senior undergrads. Like no one's gonna be able to get research. And that's honestly, I think just not true. You definitely have to put in a little bit more effort as a freshman to get into research, but you definitely can. I know one of my roommates actually, he's got involved in 2 research labs within his first semester of being on campus, like within like a month of moving into the dorms, just by reaching out to professors. And so it's absolutely possible. And he's been able to continue with those labs still today. Like I think he's going to lab later today to do more research. And so it's absolutely possible. I know a lot of them kind of got converted to COVID research, so they're able to do that, and then they're slowly kind of transitioning into other projects as well. So it's definitely possible. And there's also a lot of internship opportunities too. So I know Justine mentioned like in around the Berkeley area, there's some on campus. One of my other roommates is doing internships for like design internships and things like that. So it's definitely possible and really cool too, because like for research labs, you can get into like some really cool buildings that you're not like normally allowed to get into, which I think is a really cool perk. Just like you can walk around and be like, I can get into Etcheverry and no one else can. But yeah, so that's just a little bit on research.
Awesome, great. Okay, our next question. What has Berkeley done to promote diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice in our community and our campus? So Carson or Justine, both of you, either one of you can take that one as well.
Yeah, I can take that one. So Berkeley's, I think, done a lot to try and promote diversity and inclusiveness on campus. So there's actually a website you can look into for like a lot more details, diversity.berkeley.edu. And they have a lot of resources for anti-racism resources. They go into detail about the basic needs services for students who need financial support, student equity and success programs. So lots of resources there. We also do like reach out to youth programs for like underserved communities to try and support them. There's lots of diversity programs, lots of student resources for like African American resources, Pacific Islander resources, lots of cultural clubs. That's I guess a quick answer. Again, like I could talk about it for a really long time, but if you want to check out more, definitely go to diversity.berkeley.edu.
Yeah, and I just want to say that our theme programs are really cool because you do get to like be in an environment with other people of that same culture and that same background. And I personally know a lot of people who are involved in that. And you get to like, you know, you don't get to just like be around them, but you get to take like courses on that, and you get to have like a meeting. It's really cool. I know that like you can take like 1-unit seminars. So that's just something to keep in mind too.
Cool. And you guys can also check out our data dashboard on that same website that Carson was talking about, diversity.berkeley.edu, to see just facts, statistics, and what else the Division of Equity and Inclusion is doing on campus. So awesome. All right. Our next question is for Justine. So what was your freshman experience like, and how is Berkeley helping freshmen within this time to adjust to this new virtual environment?
Yeah, my freshman experience was a little bit different than what it is now, but there are a lot of like the same key points, I would say. My freshman experience was I like got to experience GBO on campus, obviously, and it was really cool having those leaders and those students who could like mentor you and, you know, guide you a little bit on in your first week at Berkeley. I was also able to like be involved in just like different communities that I already knew I wanted to be involved in, just through like going to Calapalooza, which is our cool like involvement club kind of fair, but it's not the exact same thing. Or it is the club fair. Sorry, I got confused. But yeah, it's really cool because you get to like figure out which communities and which organizations you want to be involved in, and you can apply for clubs, or just like there are some clubs where you don't have to apply and you can just, you know, join them right away. That's what I did with the pre-vet club. I immediately joined that one and I was able to find resources on that. I also visited Berkeley Hello like early on in my freshman year because I knew I wanted to be more involved in the Jewish community at Berkeley. And that was really cool because I later gained a fellowship for that, and I really got to like be mentored by by sophomores who, you know, had just experienced what I was experiencing then. But yeah, now that everything's online, there are still so many things that you can be involved in. GBO went completely online. I know for a fact that it was still really fun. My roommate was a GBO leader, and she still got to, you know, like help people out in their beginning of their journeys at Berkeley. And yeah, Calpalooza is also online. So they're definitely doing a good job of transitioning things to this remote period. But my freshman experience was really great, and I'm glad that I'm here now, for sure.
Carson, anything quick to add on that as well?
Yeah, I also am having a different freshman experience than freshman now. But yeah, I had a really great freshman experience. I think that Golden Bear Orientation GBO was really great. A lot of my friends that I'm still friends with now and the people I live with, I met through GBO. And I know that's all virtual now, but I think students can still they're still put in groups and they can still meet people and make friends. So I think I had a really great freshman experience. I really loved it. I was really sad that it was cut short last year. But yeah, it was great.
Awesome. Thanks to you both. And I have the pleasure of asking our last question. So for this last one, let's have Justine go first and then Carson go next. But this last question is basically, what is your Berkeley story, and what made you choose Berkeley to be your home?
Yeah, so I have a huge family history at Berkeley. My dad went here, my sister went here, my grandma went here, my uncle went here. It's a long list. And I actually originally didn't want to go to Berkeley because I wanted to be different. I wanted to, you know, have my own experiences and not be compared to my sister. But my dad really encouraged me to apply, and I ended up applying, but I forced him not to tell my sister. So she actually didn't know I applied until I got in, and I called her and I told her I got in, and she didn't believe me at first because she thought I hadn't applied to Berkeley. So I had to like show her my admissions letter to, you know, give her some physical proof. But what really like made me decide that I needed to go to Berkeley was, I think like initially my reaction to getting in was like, just like I was in awe and just like very excited. And I didn't realize my reaction was going to be so extreme, but I kind of just knew in that moment that I needed to be here. But also I went to Cal Day, and it just felt so amazing being surrounded by such passionate students and being able to see everything that Berkeley has to offer. And like just holding up that giant flag and taking a picture with it. I think all of those things just made me feel really like welcomed into the community. And I decided, you know, like my sister went here, but like I can make my own experience out of it. And I think I have been. So I am really glad that I'm here now, and I am excited for the future too.
Yeah, I do not have a long family history at Berkeley. I'm the first person in my family to go here. And my story is kind of interesting. So I got into Berkeley and I was super excited, but it wasn't like an initial, like, I didn't know for sure where I wanted to go. People that know me know that I tend to overthink things quite a lot. So I went and visited campus, and I visited a few different schools, and I was like, I don't know where I want to go. And I debated for like weeks and weeks. And I would ask for people's opinions, and like my parents were like, we're not going to tell you because it's your decision. Like, we don't want to judge you in any way, which at the time I found really frustrating. But now I am really grateful for that they didn't sway me either way. But I like finally decided I wanted to go to Berkeley. And I remember I went downstairs to my parents and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Berkeley. Like, this is it. This is the school for me. It's where I want to go. And they looked at me and they're like, we already knew that. Like, why did it take you weeks and weeks to determine that? Like, we could tell that you were happier, you were like going to more tables, like you made friends at Cal Day. Like, it was very obvious that that was like where you were. And they were totally right. I don't know why it took me so long to decide. I absolutely love it here. Like, I just felt at home, and I still feel like that. And every single day, like, I love the people, I love campus. So that's my Berkeley story.
Awesome. Thank you to the both of you. But we are going to go ahead, and unfortunately, this is the end of our tour today. But you can follow us at social media at Visit UC Berkeley on Instagram and Twitter. You can also email any questions that we weren't able to answer to tour@berkeley.edu, and a student ambassador will answer your question for you. We also have a blog. So beartalk.berkeley.edu is a great place to find other student perspectives and experiences like Justine and Carson shared today. And if you missed any part of this presentation for any reason, no worries. You can visit our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley to see other recorded virtual visits with the same information. And you can also visit coronavirus.berkeley.edu to see all of the COVID-19 resources, as well as how we are helping our students during this time to adjust to a virtual medium. And as Justine mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, we are celebrating 150 years of women at Berkeley, which is amazing. You can see all of the amazing women leaders and all of the virtual events that we are doing at 150w.berkeley.edu. And if you want to sign up for an admissions presentation, you can go to that website, admissions.berkeley.edu/visit, to sign up for those. And lastly, we have ambassador student panels on Saturdays and engineering visits on Thursdays and Saturdays, I believe, at visit.berkeley.edu. You can check those out as well. But I want to thank you guys all so much again for attending this virtual visit. Thank you to Justine and Carson. And we are going to go ahead and end this visit with a Go Bears on 3. So if Justine and Carson could join me. 1, 2, 3. Go Bears!
Bears!
Everyone.